Hello, my friends, and welcome to lesson one of my course on speaking Colloquial Dari. If you follow me on TikTok, you'll know that I've been saying for over a year now that I'm gonna do a video course on YouTube about how to speak like a Kabuli. It's kind of how I speak. It's been a long time coming, and now it is here. So this course assumes no real knowledge. We're not going to use the Arabic alphabet, so you don't have to worry about learning that. I will write everything in transliteration, and I will focus primarily, as you can guess by the title of this course, on colloquial speech. And so I will teach you how to pronounce things as they would be pronounced in everyday speech. So why don't we get started with some vocabulary? So for the first lesson, here is the vocabulary. Salam. Salam is hi, hello. Yeah. You may, if you are from another Muslim majority country, you may be more familiar with Salamu alaikum, responded to with wa alaikum assalam. But in Afghanistan, it's usually just one person says salam, the other person says salam back. A lot more casual. The next word is chotor. Chotor. And this means how, as in the question word. How do you do this? How are you doing? How are you going to go to this place? How? Chotor. The next word is asti. 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 This means you are, or in a question, are you? They're the same word in Dari. Next up is astin. It's a little bit like the previous one, but it has a different ending, astin. And this means you all are, or are all of you. It's kind of like referring to you guys in British English or y'all in Southern American English. It's how you distinguish between a single person you're addressing or multiple people you're addressing. So that is astin. And for referring to a singular person, that is asti. The next word is khub. 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 And khub means good. Well, sometimes. Good. But just think of it as good. What else do we have? Jor. Jor. I think this is actually a loan word from Pashto, the other official language of Afghanistan. It is very, very commonly used in Dari in most dialects, especially in Kabuli. And this means well, also good, in good health, in good form. It can take on slightly different meanings depending on the context, but in the context we'll use it in today. It means well, as in I am well, I'm doing good, I'm in good health. Yeah, we have a couple more. We'll get into those. So why don't we start with these that we have so far? So we can have like a little dialogue, I guess, right? So you meet somebody, you say salam. They'll probably say salam back. And then you enter into this dance of asking how somebody is doing repeatedly without waiting for a response. This can be very complicated. For me, it was also very complicated. Bear in mind, I am not a native Dari speaker. I learned this language as an adult, so it's still pretty difficult for me. And I often run out of things to ask. So the first kind of formula that I'm going to give you is the following. After you say salam or you return a salam, you can ask chotor asti, how are you? Immediately followed by khub asti, are you good? Immediately followed again by jor asti, are you well? So you just say that back to back. Salam, chotor asti, khub asti, jor asti. And it's pretty funny. You'll get the hang of it. You'll get the hang of it pretty quick. Now, You may remember the word asten, which is you all are, but this is also used to refer to somebody older than you or somebody in a higher position than you, right? So you have similar things in French, in Spanish, in Italian, in German. And it's the same sort of thing. You use the plural form to show respect to somebody. So if we take this little formula that we had, salam, chotoresti, khubesti, joresti, let's imagine that this is between friends. But if you were to speak to the parents of your friends, you would say salam, chotorestin, khubestin, jorestin, as that signifier of respect. So yeah, that's a nice little way to start. I have a couple of exchanges here in one of the books that I'm working from. Let's go through them and see if you can guess the meanings. I'll give you a little space, a little bit of time to guess before I give the actual translation. Afghanistan, Afghanistan. So one of those words you already know. You are plural or you are formal. That is astin. First word is Afghan, Afghan. So as you might be able to guess, that is a question, meaning are you an Afghan or are you, as a group of people, Afghans? Let's say that you're talking to a single person when asking this question. You say, Afghanistan. The person might respond with, Bale, Afghanistan. Bale, Afghanistan. So you know one of the words there. And maybe you could tell by the tone and the intonation. Bale means yes. And then the last word in there was astum. Astum. Bale, Afghanistan. So if asti is you are, what might astum be? Might be, and it is, I am. So you might hear that response if you ask somebody, are you Afghan? Bale, Afghanistan. Maybe you're in search of a doctor. You see somebody, you ask them, are you a doctor? How might you ask that? So you already know how to ask if somebody is an Afghan. How would you ask if somebody is a doctor? Well, you'd find the word for doctor, and then you would say asti at the end as a question. Luckily, the word for doctor in Dari is very similar. It's a loan word from English, doctor, with that long A sound, doctor. So you would say doctor esti. And yeah, what if this person is a doctor? What are they going to say in response? Think about it for a moment. We already know the word for yes, which we just learned in the last sentence, bale. And they're a doctor, so they would say doctor. And then they would say I am, astum. Bale, doctor astum. Bale, doctor astum. Why don't we move on to feelings? So you can also ask about feelings. So maybe you want to see if somebody's happy. The word for happy is khush. Khush. So how might you ask, are you happy? So when you're asking about a state, it's very similar to asking about, a profession or a nationality. You just ask, happy, are you? Khush asti. Khush asti. Yeah, khush asti. And now that I'm finally creating this series, I'm quite happy. Actually, I would say I'm very happy. I would say, بسیار خوش هستم. I would say, yes, بله, بسیار خوش هستم. So there's one new word there, which is بسیار. بسیار. And this means a lot or very. So بله, بسیار خوش هستم. Yes, I am very happy. One of the things that you can do already to make your speech sound more natural is actually something that you also do in English. So when you say I am, very often you'll contract that to I'm. Or when you say you are, you'll contract that to you're. And there are a lot of these kinds of contractions. So here is one that you can do when you're speaking Dari. So let's say you're asking somebody if they're Iranian, right? Say you meet someone, you think they might be Iranian, you want to ask them, are you Iranian? So you could ask, Irani asti, and that's fine, that's intelligible, it makes sense, nobody's really gonna bat an eyelid. But because that ends in an E sound, Irani, and asti also starts with an S sound, these are both vowels. And if you say this quickly enough back to back, you'll kind of guess what I'm getting at, or at least I hope you will. So let's try that. Irani asti, Irani asti, Irani asti, Iranisti, Iranisti. You get it? So you can contract that asti into sti. So this works for anything that ends in an E sound. So with Iranian, Irani asti, Iranisti. And this also works if you want to say I am Iranian, for example. Instead of Irani astam, which is fine, you can also say, and you'll hear, well, actually, maybe you won't hear Iranians saying this, they speak a little differently. But in theory, if somebody was quoting somebody else, you might hear them say, what was I going to say? I'm Iranian. Iranistam. Iraniastam, Iranistam. This works pretty well with other nationalities as well, like French is Faransawi. Faransawi. You could ask somebody, Faransawisti, are you French? And they could say, if they speak Dari, Bale Faransawistam. Pretty cool little trick that you can use to already sound more natural in Dari. So I'm going to finish off this first lesson talking a little bit about the sounds that you should look out for at the end of verbs, which are doing words, usually doing words. The only verb that we've learned so far is I am, you are, he, she is. So we learned that asti, you are, it ends in this E sound. So when you hear this E sound at the end of a verb, it's usually referring to you, right? You are doing, you're watching, you're cooking, you know. It's always referring to you, this E sound at the end of a verb. There's another sound to watch out for, which is the sound, an M sound at the end, which is what you have with astum, I am. And you'll hear this sound at the end of other verbs, and that is a little signal to you that tells you that the person is referring to themselves in their speech. So they're talking about I. The final sound that we heard was astin, right? It's this en, long E sound, en at the end of a verb, astin. That's subtly different from asti, which has the E sound. And this en sound at the end of a verb refers to a plural group of people being spoken to. You plural, you guys, y'all, all of that stuff. And additionally, it can be used to show respect in your speech to somebody who is older than you. Let's finish off with a couple more words. Some of them we've already gone through, but let's just do a little vocabulary list. Imroz. Imroz. This means today. Imroz. Mariz. Mariz. This means somebody who is unwell, somebody who is sick, an unwell person or a sick person. Mariz. Khush. We already learned this earlier. Khush means happy. If I want to say I'm happy, I say khush astam. Doctor is a doctor. Doctor. Just make sure you get that pronunciation right with that long R sound. So somebody who is mariz is often in need of a doctor. And then finally, the last word that I want to bring up in our little vocabulary list is besyar. Besyar. Besyar means very or a lot. So if I want to say I'm very happy, besyar خوش هستم. And you can really lay it on. besyar خوش هستم. You know, I think it's one of those words that sounds exactly like the feeling that it's trying to convey. So let's finish up with a couple more sentences. Let's start with امروز چطور هستین? امروز چطور هستین? So let's break that down. امروز, we just learned that means today. چطور. چطور. چطور is how, as in it's a question word. How are you doing? You know, how, just how, in any context pretty much. It is an interrogative word, how. And then finally, هستین. هستین. So let's imagine you're posing this question to a family. امروز چطور هستین? So you're asking a family, today, how are you doing? Somebody from the family could reply, امروز مریض هستیم. امروز مریض هستیم. امروز, once more, is today. Mariz is unwell, an unwell person or people. And astem. So this is a little bit different. It's not en, which is en. It's m with an m, em. And this is the sound that refers to we. So if refers to a singular I, am refers to a collective we. So imruz mariz astem. Today we're all sick. In a separate conversation, maybe one of you wants to ask me, am I happy today? How would you do that? Think about it for a second. How would you ask me if today, imroz, if I'm happy? Happy is khush. You could do it like this. You could ask, imroz khush asti? Imroz khush asti? And because I have finally started this series, I would respond, bale, imroz besyar khush astum. So that's bale, yes. Imroz, today. Besyar, very. Khush, happy. Astum, I am. Bale, imroz besyar khush astum. I think that's a good place to stop off. That's a lot of stuff that you just learned in 18 minutes of this first video. Stay tuned. Make sure that you like the video. Leave a comment if anything wasn't clear. I'll do my best to get back to you or address it in a future video. And of course, subscribe to the channel. You know, it helps me out, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you would also like to be notified of future videos. I think for the first couple of lessons, we'll keep it kind of general, build some vocabulary, do some simple verbs, and then later on, you know, we'll start bringing in some more of the grammar and helping you to construct your own sentences so you don't just feel like you're parroting things that you learn in this video or in books or, you know, whatever you're learning from. So that is it. This is the end of the lesson. I hope that whatever you do today, you all have a great day. And I hope to see you all back here for the next lesson. Goodbye for now.